Our clients often ask us how they should organize themselves. We get this question a lot, actually, since we obviously work across a lot of different brands. And mobile, social, data, these are often things that kind of get cast from the side, sort of as a skunk works. But ultimately, as I think we all know, those areas have to be integrated in order to be properly leveraged. So we've asked one of our brands to share the insight that drives their success. So please welcome from Taco Bell, Amy Kavanaugh and Juliet Corsinita.
Hi. Hey, thanks, Jordan, and thank you, everybody. We're really excited to be here. So we're here to talk to you about organizing to win and share what we've learned in this crazy world of 24/7 digital. So I have to tell you, it started with a really bold goal at Taco Bell, and that was that we agreed 18 months ago that we were going to become the most relevant brand in the world. Okay, so yes, I know that is a tall order. But if you are listening to your customers and your consumers, they're telling you exactly what it is you need to know. And it makes being more relevant much easier. So while we're always learning and evolving, what we are going to share with you are some key learnings. And these key learnings have come to us, and we are bringing to you in the way of 4 key themes. So I get to go with the first one. The first one is integrate and collaborate. So when we decided to take on that little task of becoming the most relevant brand in the world, we recognized that there had to be a major sea change at Taco Bell. Major. You know why? Because literally and figuratively, there were walls across marketing. Advertising's over here, PR's over here, digital's over here. Digital's a separate thing. And then there's social and then media. Okay, so what we realized is organizing to win meant that we had to put the consumer first. And you know what? They're really not differentiating between screens anymore. And what they're also doing is ignoring the fact that anything is paid, earned, or owned, which we end up talking about. We all probably talk about a lot. That's ours. So we had to create a destination, if you will. And that is what we call at Taco Bell our fishbowl. And it is a room where every single channel of input from our consumers is brought together, and we look at all of the conversations, and we find a signal. And so when we saw that signal, we realized that this combined group of people, we could use our superpowers for good and come together and take all of the energy and smarts and creativity and bring it together and help our customer understand why we were so relevant.
Yep. We literally did have to knock down walls. And we created this newsroom environment. It includes media and PR, consumer insights, creative, digital, and yes, even legal, and very important to include legal. And we all have a permanent seat at this integrated table. And a central solution for organizing to win that our partners at Digitas actually shared with us was this idea called Creatia. And that's having creative and media working intricately together, nurturing both the idea and the distribution platform for the idea. So these work together. It's really imperative that they work together and have both a purpose and a destination for the things that you're creating. And we believe that ensures greater success in breaking through with our consumers.
All right, number 2. Number 2, be relevant and in the moment. I think you've heard a lot about that today. And so when we talk about it, it means creating and curating the content that our consumers want specifically and when they want it, right? So that is, we got to be talking to them in their language. It also means really understanding them and truly finding out what they think is relevant. We know who we call our fans and our social following our friends because they really are our friends and we're listening to them. Here's what we know about them, and let me share. They're explorers. This is really a millennial, age 18 to 34, and we know what drives them as well. So they like what's new. They value the experience overall. They view access to our brand as currency. And they're life's adventurers. They want to create as part of their life. And they feel defined by the brands they associate with and what they share. So 18 months ago, when I told you about this fishbowl, we set up this room and we really started listening. We found out there were 40,000 conversations taking place about our brand every day. Every day. They were mentioning, and we weren't participating in that conversation. And they told us what they cared about and also, what they wanted to hear about when they associated with our brand.
Yeah, and in addition to being fans of our brand, they also love sports, music, and pop culture. Those three themes guide our primary publishing platforms and really help us prioritize our focus to maintain relevance. For sports, we leverage our sponsorships with Major League Baseball and support a program called Steal a Base, Steal a Taco during the World Series. Hopefully you all got your taco last year. And that also, with our NBA sponsorship, we partner with the NBA playoffs and a program called #WinningCombinations, where it'll allow us to engage a lucky fan and bring him or her to the NBA Finals this year. In terms of music, we have our Feed the Beat program, which connects artists and bands with the fans. And in addition to providing them Taco Bell gift cards, which is really helpful for them when they're on the road and they need to save some money for gas and other things, we bring them the power of our brand to fuel music discovery through opportunities like being featured in content. We also bring them to events and activations, and then we can share out that content to our social communities. Earlier, Adam Bain from Twitter showed you part of the trailer that we have for our first ever fan-made rockumentary featuring Passion Pit and Wildcat Wildcat, two Feed the Beat bands. So we live streamed that event in concert at South by Southwest this past March, and we'll be releasing the full-length rockumentary film this summer, an experience made possible for music fans by really recognizing the value of relevance.
So, okay, we believe, we're still learning, that we're getting the relevance down by listening to our consumers. But we also need to do it in the speed in which our explorers expect and how fast they consume it. We all know how difficult that is. So how do we do it? Well, in partnership with Digitas, we have created our official newsroom, and that's called Live Moss Live. And this is literally a room where we are working and collaborating together. And we're setting up a newsroom-like environment where you have stock and you have flow. Okay, so this is I'll explain stock and flow, but it's getting the relevant content to them at the right time and the right channel. And you got to be on this 24/7. So when I say stock and flow, think of stock like your favorite TV episode, and flow is the water cooler where all the conversations are taking place. So if I give you an example that hopefully is top of mind to all of you right now is the recent launch of our Cool Ranch Doritos Locos Taco.
Yay!
That was exactly the response I was hoping for. Because you're chuckling about how good it is, aren't you? So when we were preparing for that launch, we used a lot of the social channels to build buzz and conversation leading up to that. And what we were able to do is we created more content in 4 weeks, leveraging this newsroom, than we had in all of 2012. And so we also developed that content and distributed it in 24 hours often. I mean, quickly, fast, turnaround. It was amazing. And so if you think about how we manage that too and the balance of that, we went into the launch with 60% knowing of our content being stock and 40% being flow.
Yeah. That agility and focus for speed is what allows us to be so in the moment. To support these naturally occurring water cooler type moments when conversations start to really gain momentum, we have a dedicated social media fund. We've just put money aside from our media budget that we use to boost discussions and optimize in real time. And there's no doubt that when you're hot, you got to press. So you have to have that media fund available to you. And with our integrated team, we're able to quickly identify and amplify those conversations when they're naturally occurring and then really press into the momentum of those. We found that unless we had that flexibility in funding, we were missing out on real-time opportunities, which is just a shame. So the third theme is actually called authenticity rules. Hopefully we're all leveraging that, right? Authenticity is really knowing who you are, what you stand for. And for Taco Bell, it means being effortlessly cool, aspirationally real, and uniquely Taco Bell. It's got to be something nobody else does. And these are some of the filters that we use to ensure we're being true to ourselves and being authentic to our customers. So the bottom line is we need to talk to them like they're our friends, because to us, they really are.
So you've all heard this story. Remember the lights went out in New Orleans? And everyone started talking about real-time marketing because Oreo did the dunk in the milk heard around the world, right? So all of a sudden, a week later, when the Oscars came out, I think everybody, and I will tell you, us included, decided, oh, we're going to take advantage of this, and we're going to create the same kind of buzz and conversation that took place during the Super Bowl. Well, this goes back to authenticity, because you know what? That fell flat. Everybody was trying to layer in and say, hey, look at us. You know, we're relevant and cool and retweet us. But what we also recognize is that it doesn't mean engaging in every big media event in a way that is inauthentic to your brand is going to work. At Taco Bell, authenticity for us really means we don't turn off. We have to listen 24/7, and we have to be prepared to respond that way. And then there's going to be these great content opportunities that come up as a result of that listening, really listening to the consumer, and that means that we're always, always ourselves. Okay, so that's both in the voice that we use, and hopefully you guys will all go on to YouTube and check out what we're doing and see what we're doing on our Facebook page and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat yesterday. But authenticity is making sure that your friends and fans are being taken care of by people who are just as passionate about the brand as they are. And so we don't outsource our content. Our team works internally, in-house. Don't farm it out. It's your voice. You own it. Bring it to life and be true to your friends just like you would anyone else.
Oh, authenticity also means making sure that you're building content that people are passionate about. You know, I think we all know that the display banners aren't being clicked on as often as we wish they would be, but what we found with our consumer is they were open to things like native advertising. So that opened up a whole new world, and it allowed us to create relationships with partners like BuzzFeed. A great example of this is we have a product called the Loaded Grillers, 3 different varieties. They're appetizers for one. And we wanted to make sure that people understood it was an appetizer you didn't have to share for once. So we worked with BuzzFeed, and we identified stories under this theme of the worst things ever shared. And then just when someone went to go and share that article, we disabled the actual sharing functionality of the page so they couldn't share it. So, surprise. And finally, the fourth theme that we have is measure and optimize. The truth is, like you guys, we're still learning. We're always learning. And what we know is that organizing to win means having to measure. We have to measure the impact. We have to measure influence. We have to measure relevance. And like Amy mentioned, our customers are always telling us what they want. Sometimes they're screaming it at us. And sometimes they're telling us things in a less obvious way. But we need to be able to expose insights and then fuel that ability to quickly respond to relevant and authentic conversations. That's really critical for us. So understanding what will resonate is as important in determining what images and sounds and videos and things like that will express our brand through. Sometimes even things that are intangible, like tone, really matter. Because as the theme of our speech is your brand is alive, we understand that our brand really is alive. And just like different people, our consumer wants to respond to things in different ways. Sometimes our tone around sarcasm is better than humor. There's lots of decisions to make about how our narrative is expressed, the format that we use, the shelf life of the content itself, and we need to understand what's being said and then have that inform our decisions and what attributes can drive organic sharing and what makes the content last.
Yeah. And you know what? Many of these tools don't exist yet. Or they are, but they're isolated to a single publisher or an entity. So I'm going to go on my rant now. I wanted to do a rant. So what we need to do as an industry is we really need to commit to demanding that the tools be created that we can use to help demonstrate the impact of what it is that we're doing. With our agency, like demand of our agency partners, Digitas, and our research partners, we need the tool. And you know what? There's a big incentive. I mean, it's obvious because it shows value to the system. In our case, it's our franchisees. You know what? Taco Bell is made up of 400 small business franchisees. This is their livelihood. This is, every penny we spend has to impact and drive their business. So demonstrating value will help us be able to grow our digital commitment because that's where we should be. It's where our customers are. So measuring these attributes are also really important overall because it helps us understand how our explorer target, really our customer, our friends, how they continue to evolve and what they continue to care about. They expect us to listen, they expect us to respond, and that has big impact, not just on digital, but it has on overall engagement for our brands, for all of our brands in this room. It's very important because measuring allows us to continually optimize, and for us, it means being a better and more relevant Taco Bell. Mm-hmm. So, thank you very much for the opportunity to share our learnings. And these are our humble opinions, but it really is important to figure out how to treat your brand as alive and organize in such a way. But live Moss, everybody, and thank you.
Live Moss, thanks.